I know it's the playoffs, but does that help?
Yeah, I mean, there's comfort. I mean, there's, I guess, familiarity there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I'm not really looking at that. I think we know more to expect. Last series, we did too. I mean, it was exactly kind of what we thought. There was a very low scoring series, and, the numbers didn't really matter individually. It was just about getting that one extra goal every game. So I think the final scoring last series was 15-14, and when you have a series like that, I mean, it's the little things that matter the most, and that's still going to matter this series. But yeah, I think there's a good chance we're going to need to score more goals than 15 this series for sure.
Your game seems to translate very well to the regular season. There's a lot of open ice. Is it harder to transfer what you do to that tight game in the playoffs?
Yes and no. I think you find other ways to be a factor, and I don't think there was very few guys in that last series that were offensively what they usually are, and the guys that did get going were guys that had some success early and got a little bit of feel, and there wasn't a lot of puck possession. There was no time and space, so you got to, like I said, you got to find other ways to have a factor on the game, and I think. I was happy with a lot of the stuff the way I was able to contribute off the score sheet, and but at the end of the day, I'm an offensive player that needs to contribute in that area, and this is a series we're going to need to score some goals. So I know it's a very it's not a different mindset in terms of how you have to play, but it's going to be a different type of series for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, not even scoring the goals, it's creating the skating, the open ice. It seemed like as the series went on, you were able to do that.
Yeah, I think I was pretty uptight in game one. I just didn't know what to expect. I haven't this isn't as much as I'm a 33-year-old, 15-year vet. It's I've never been in a position where I've been a team that has such a great chance to win a cup and at the top of the conference, and and then you play a team that could have arguably been at the top of the conference with us had they been healthy all year, and you enter right into that. It's tight checking. There's a history with the two teams, and it was a brand new experience for me, and one I'm glad I got. And you never know when you can tap into that going down the road, and it was. I've never been through anything like that in terms of series. It was the hardest hockey I've ever played in my life, and at any level. And I think both teams would probably say the same. So, this team, it's going to, like I said, it's probably going to be a little different series. You don't change your mindset. You don't change the things that make you successful in the last one. But yeah, I mean, it'll be a little more high octane this time around, and maybe a little bit less of a chess match. And although I think when we're able to make it that way, it benefits us with our depth and how we play.
And then the last two home games have been really good. First two were fine, but not,
I think game two was really good. I think game one was our worst game of the series for sure. Yeah.
But so now you got two at home again.
Yeah.
Do you guys talk about that at all? Like, we need to come out here and make home ice matter.
You don't need to talk about it. I mean, that team's so good at home. We've been good at home, but we're also a good road team. The nice thing is we know that we can win in any building, whether it's ours or somebody else's, and that speaks to our depth because we're not the biggest benefit of having home ice is line matching, and that's something we don't really do. We Pete trusts all of our lines to play against anybody, and that really helps going. That helps your game to translate for home and road. I've played on teams where it felt like you were a totally different team because of the matchup. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there will be some this series for sure, but I think, yeah, we definitely know you don't want to be in that. I don't know if I've had a worse feeling in hockey than that day after the going 0-2 last series. So I think everyone knows in the back of our mind we want to, not have that happen again.
You've gotten to see Wyatt Johnston now for a season and a series. I mean, what have you learned about him and how a determined young man he is on the ice out there?
Yeah, you know what? He's kind of got that kind of ice water vein disposition. Very very laid back kid, calm. He's mature. He had his ups and downs throughout the regular season. I think kind of like everybody did. There's the way we're structured, you're going to have hot streaks, you're going to have cold streaks, things like that. And he really started to trend upward at the end of the year. I think Stank coming up and being in the lineup, they found some chemistry. And then Jamie got their line was our best line down the stretch, and their line was our best line in that last series. So, but it's going to take. He's a tremendous player, and I think a lot of us want to kind of join him at his level of game, and I know we got guys that can do that, and him and Otter were our best players in that first series, and we're going to need them to keep going, but we expect other guys in this series to get going as well.
You know Nathan McKinnon very well, and he's a hard finalist. And
Yeah.
Can you put a number on how many challenges it is to deal with that guy on
Yeah, no, he's obviously a gifted player, and I think between him, Rantanen, and Makar, I mean that's a pretty big three-headed monster. They're going to play a ton. Everyone's going to have to pitch in, trying to shut them down. So I think the best way to play against a team like this is play in their end and make them defend, and then when they do have the puck, just know that they're out there and limit their time and space. I mean, you're not going to shut them down, but you can limit them, and that's the way you play guys like them, like McDavid, Draisaitl. These guys that are really dominant one-on-one players. I think that's the only way to defend them.
Have you been on both sides of the break in between, the short turnaround, obviously, and a little bit lengthier one?
Yep. In 19, when we beat Tampa with Columbus, we had like a week off, and we didn't know who we were playing until 2 days before. Exact same situation they've been in. And I think there's advantages to both. We lost game 1. Boston was kind of still in Game 7 mode when they played us, and they beat us in Game 1 in overtime, and we won Game 2. But I mean, I think I don't really think it shakes out one way or another. I think the way that we're structured, we have some D-men playing some big minutes, but up front, our forward minutes are very spread out and quite low compared to other teams. So I think the wear and tear that way is easier to manage. So hopefully that plays to our advantage in when you only have a day in between.
How important to get through the first round and just feel what this team can do in the playoffs?
Yeah, obviously huge game last game. We felt like it was probably our best game of the series, and big plays at big moments. Jakey was incredible, so just need to keep building on that and keep getting better against obviously a very skilled team, very high-octane team with some of the best players in the world. So, I mean, that's plain and simple. They got some really, really good players, and we need to keep progressing our game as we did last series.
Is that a different challenge, or do you try and just work on yourself? And I mean, it's going to be a different team you're facing on the other side of the ice.
Yeah, they play a little bit different system-wise. Definitely different in their own end. So hopefully we're able to create a little bit and capitalize on chances that we get, and then trying to minimize the chances they get. Obviously, McKinnon, Makar, Rantanen, Duchene. I mean, you go up and down the lineup, they have a lot of very good players. So I mean, we need to play as five together, break pucks out, limit rush opportunities, and I think that's sort of how we're going to be successful.
Matt was saying that this is one of the best teams he's ever been on. Do you, one, feel that, and two, does that put a different kind of edge on? We have an opportunity here to do something real special.
Yeah, I think obviously we're a very good team, very deep team. Up and down the lineup, there's good players everywhere you point to. I think anytime you're in the playoffs, you need to believe that you have the opportunity to do something special is there, right? We feel like we overcame a lot of adversity last round. Everyone probably counted us out 0-2 heading into their rink, and we were able to overcome the hole we put ourselves in. And so we just need to build on, as I said, that Game 7. We thought we played a good game. Keep pushing forward and building on what we did, because we know we're playing a really good team tonight that they don't care what we did last series, right? So I mean that's behind.
Do you look at your numbers at all?
No.
And we do, okay. Because you're +6, which is one of the tops in the league, and you're leading in block shots, or tied for the lead. And those are parts of your game that I think you want to be good at, and they are. I don't know if that helps, or you don't really care.
I'm just worried if we get the W at the end of the night. That's the only thing that really matters to me.
What have you learned about Wyatt Johnston in the short time that you've played with him?
He's incredible. 20 years old. I think more impressive is how good he is defensively. I'm not sure how much people talk about that or if they do or not, but I mean, he's on the ice with a minute left. He's on the ice taking PK face-offs against the other team's best players. He's doing all the little things that you need to do to win, and he's scoring goals for us, obviously, too. But just how mature he is for how young he is incredible.
Starting goalie there, Pete?
Yeah, Ottinger.
Changes?
No, same lineup
Same
as
lineup?
Game 7, yeah.
How are your injured players, and are they skating? Are they getting better?
Skating, getting better, getting closer. I would say Marchment's closer than Hakanpää. Both have a chance to play in the series, and maybe sooner than later. Keep working with them. It's a day-to-day thing, and ready to go.
So McKinnon's a Hart finalist today. Just what's the challenge of facing him, and why in the playoffs is he able to produce the way that he does?
Yeah. Well, great player. That's had I think a fantastic season. I mean, this reminds me a little bit of Vegas. I feel like, I've coached against Colorado in the playoffs every year between San Jose, Vegas, and Dallas. So we've seen an awful lot of them. And I think he just keeps getting better and better. He just imposes himself on the game every time he's on the ice. He wants the puck on his stick, and he wants to take control of the game. And just an awful load of a player to try and handle from the opposition. So for me, the best thing we can do is try and keep the puck out of his hands and defend with numbers. And if we're playing in the offensive zone, then he's obviously not attacking. So that would be the best defense for us.
Pete, you talk so much about the Stars playing to their identity. With a 48-hour turnaround from last series to this, how important is it tonight for you guys to worry about just doing Stars hockey?
Yeah, exactly. I think it makes it easier because these teams really are similar, Vegas and Colorado. I mean, there's differences in every team, but similar in, McKinnon is a different version of Eichel. Both teams very good off the rush. I think Vegas was number 1 in the league from the All-Star break on. These guys have been number 1 in the league all year. So we've got to contain that. Mobile defenses that join the rush. I think Colorado probably has a little more of that than Vegas did, although Vegas had Hannafin and Theodore and some guys. That's a different element Colorado has. I think it allows you to kind of go into game 1 without overthinking it. We want to replicate game 7. If we do those things, I think they translate.
Pete, I know you're turning the page to the next series, but I just was comparing the way that Jamie Benn played last year against Vegas to his series this year.
Yeah.
And it felt like he had such a controlled intensity this time around, where he picked his spots for that ferocity, but under a really mature play. And I wonder what your thoughts were about what he's done from last season to this in the series.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, and probably something I should have acknowledged that I haven't yet. He was one of our best players that entire series, and when you look back to last year and what happened, I'm sure that was sitting with him for 12 months or 10 months. So good on him, and great leadership, and he knew what he had to do, and he went out there and executed, and he didn't do it. A lot of times when you've been through something like that, you can go out and play passive or on your heels a little bit because you're afraid of crossing that line. I thought he walked that line really well. He still physically imposed himself on the series, but did it in a really smart way.
Sagan and Duchene have played well. They have good numbers against Colorado. Can that be something that carries over? Is there a good matchup? Even this year, I think their numbers are fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I think sometimes that can carry over. But regular season, as you guys have seen in the playoffs, are two totally different animals. And I'm not worried about production. I'm worried about winning. And we have to go into this and expect to have to win 2-1, 3-2. The production is the production. That doesn't matter to me.
So a follow up on Tanev yesterday. I think he'd fit anywhere, but are there particular reasons he fits so well here?
You know what? I think I honestly think style of play, and he was coming from Calgary where they didn't play the same as we did. They played a little more passive D zone, layered D zone. They played a little more passive on the rush. We want to close and squash and kill plays, but he's built for that. His feet, his mobility, his mindset, his aggressive mindset. So I think he's been a great fit from a system point of view, and he's a great fit in the dressing room. The guy, you can see why this guy was so popular in Calgary and in their dressing room and stuff. He's a real great teammate.